I'm joined by my colleague, Michael Omudele, who's the chapter coordinator for Giving Nigeria. So, Michael.
Thank you so much, Priska. I want to welcome everyone on board to this 2022 edition of the African Youth Summit on Biodiversity. I want to appreciate the organizers, the support we have been getting so far from African Wildlife Foundation. It has really been a tremendous work. I want to also appreciate all our participants who are on board. Thank you for taking time to participate in this summit. This session, we basically focus on the frameworks of the Caribbean African region, and I want to promise I won't take more than enough time to do my presentations. Please kindly alert me in case you are not hearing me properly, please. Yeah. So once again, good morning from Nigeria, and those in the US. It's also morning anyway, but this is the early morning here, and from other parts of the world that will be participating in this summit. As I've been introduced, I'm Olusegun Michael Ogundele by name, the founder and the current national coordinator of the Nigerian Youth Biodiversity Network, the Caribbean Nigerian chapter. Yeah, straight to my presentation. So while I'm waiting for the slides, okay, so my presentation will basically be on the activities of Giving Africa so far. I'm sure every one of us is aware that we are in the height of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. The UNCBD negotiation is currently taking a new year. Immediately after the Geneva meetings that ended some weeks ago, and there will be a next stop at Nairobi before the COP itself in Coming. So this presentation will basically feature how the Given African region has been able to mobilize African youth in various aspects from various backgrounds to participate in the ongoing negotiation process. So basically do this to one, familiarize our participants with Giving Africa work agendas, and also at the same time use this opportunity to encourage our participants to get more involved in Giving African work, and as well also let every one of us currently participating on this summit know that this summit is not just a talk shop. It is a practical activity, that we as well use to collect youth priorities, to make youth contributions to enlist African youth voices, on the ongoing UNCBD negotiation process for a stronger post-2020 global diversity framework. So it's actually a primary outcome of this summit that we want to achieve, and this section will basically outline that and urge everyone to do this. So at the end, there will definitely be a Google form, a kind of a feedback analysis to collect your opinions, to let youth themselves identify the priorities about about the question of what they want by themselves in the post-2020 framework. Yeah, thank you so much, Priska. So now the slides are up. About Caribbean Africa, move to the next slide. Yeah, the Caribbean Africa is a regional chapter of the Global Youth Biodiversity Framework. I'm very sure the Global Biodiversity Framework is not new to everyone on this participating on this summit. It is the official youth platform of the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. So the Gibeon Africa region is founded in 2017, and currently we have 20 chapters, meaning that we have 20 African countries where we have Gibeon national chapters existing. And part of these national chapters is the Nigerian chapter, that I'm currently speaking from right now. And Gibeon, as I've said earlier on, the Global Biodiversity Framework is a network of individuals and youth organizations. So it's not just individuals, it's not just biodiversity enthusiasts or early career professionals or biodiversity conservationists. We also have organizations, youth organizations who are also serving as an organizational member in the Global Youth Biodiversity Framework, and all of these, form what we call the International Coordination Platform for Youth Participation in the Convention on Biodiversity. Just as I've said earlier on, the Global Youth Biodiversity Framework is an international platform, an official youth network of the UN CBD. Thank you so much. In the next slide. Now, what is how have we been organizing our youth? How has African youth been participating, in the post-2020 global biodiversity framework, in the UN CBD work agendas? So the Gibeon Africa, has actually adopted a series of methodologies, functions, and our work capacities causing across various youth backgrounds and across our national chapters. And this is, include building capacity of each youth, and this building capacity of youth includes trainings and formation of toolkits, and also various mentorship programs. And this is designed, in accordance with the needs of specific national chapters. So the capacity building programs of the Gibeon Africa is flexible and dynamic, in the sense that we not actually put, in this extent, a one method fit or so. Each national chapters exhibit organize various capacity building programs in accordance with the needs of its members, and all of this is being geared towards improving the skills, the capacity, the knowledge, the knowledge and the technical know-how of each youth constituent, in contributing maximally to the post-2020 global diversity framework and other agendas of the UNCBD. So specifically towards the post-2020 framework of the UNCBD, we have also organized consultations. So the Gibeon Africa have organized consultations in various dimensions, starting from the Gibeon regional workshop. Then our various national chapters, has also put up independent national consultation process. So all this has provided an interactive process for youth to participate, in making sure that their voices, is being enlisted, in making sure that youth priorities are being included in the ongoing negotiation process. So there, as I said earlier on, various methods, various forms has been considered in place, have been organized by various national chapters. These have been this include online surveys, virtual consultations, across various national chapters, and there have also been regional consultations as well, which has actually put together, a kind of harmonization of youth positions from each from each national chapters in the African region that have organized their consultation. And part of this, and the result of this national consultation series is also the production of national youth position document, the national youth position paper. And I'm sure, we have about 3, 4, 5 national chapters in the African region who, as we speak, has their own national youth position document, to make sure that they contribute significantly to the ongoing negotiation process of the UNCBD post-2020 framework. And I should also mention that the Nigerian chapter has strongly keyed into this. And currently, have a national youth position paper in place. For those who visit the Nigerian chapter youth booth of this summit, you definitely have access, to know what the national youth position document contains. So these are the result of national consultations, result of online surveys, that have taken place at various points in time. So another activity of the Gibeon African Youth Engagement is advocacy. So there have been the Gibeon Africa has also encouraged youth across the national chapters to engage in advocacy at various levels. Advocacy, purposely including engaging stakeholders, national stakeholders, regional stakeholders in the African countries, then especially targeting the CBD national focal point, making sure that youth inclusive participation, making sure that the intergenerational equity, is being considered, especially at this particular point when the UNCBD, is stepping up efforts, wrapping up the negotiations on the post-2020 framework, and we have various national delegates, engaging the different stakeholders at different levels. And, the Gibeon frameworks has been that youth should participate, youth should be encouraged to participate, to enlist their voices, to include youth priorities in this process. So we also organize advocacy programs, to engage different stakeholders on these levels. And all of these are formed, the various actions, campaign actions of the Gibeon African Youth Engagement. And currently, the Gibeon Africa internationally is, is currently putting up a Stop the Same campaign, and definitely I will still speak on the Stop the Same campaign in this presentation. But just a brief, for years now, there have been the same kind of government promises, from various angles. There have been the same form of methodology of doing the same thing. There have been the same, form of methods, especially when it boils down to national issues or national biodiversity strategic action plans. So what Gibeon is saying currently now is that the same method does not give us different. So we need a different method. We need, a transformative agenda. We need a transformative education to be able to have a productive, to be able to have a productive post-2020, stronger post-2020 framework. So all of this have been packaged into our actions, into our campaign actions, on the Stop the Same campaign. And the Gibeon Africa have been engaging in its membership on this campaign programs, cutting across 20 African countries, as I mentioned earlier on. And interestingly, this summit, also marks, the African youth wave. The Stop the Same campaign youth wave in the African region, will be between 24th to 30th of April. I'm sure that is correct. So in this time frame, we urge and we want to mobilize a sizable number of youths to participate in all of these campaigns, both at national level, subnational, and regional level. So all of this will culminate to making sure that the decisive youth priorities, decisive actions of youth are being counted, in forming in having a stronger post-2020 global biodiversity framework. Next slide. Okay, now what are the African youth priorities? What are the African youth priorities? I have mentioned some of this, one or two areas, and as like I said earlier on, the Gibeon African region, engaged youth, engaged about 20 national chapters across the African countries, to mobilize the African youth voices to enlist African youth priorities in the ongoing negotiation process of the UNCBD, then what exactly are the youth priorities? What exact positions? What are the main youth voices in all of this? So the national consultations, has moved across about 11 countries. 11 African countries participated, in these national consultations across various African countries. Mentioned now South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, I think Zimbabwe, then Rwanda, DRC. So in all of this national consultation process, we have about 600 and I think more than 600 youth, across all of these African countries participated in this national consultation series, and these have, given us a kind of a collation of what the African youth priorities is. What are youth saying? What are the demands of youth? What are they hopeful, to see in the post-2020 framework? And this definitely includes, a various form of youth engagement. Youth want to be engaged. The youth also wants to be counted as stakeholder. In this. Youth also wants to be engaged, wants to be counted as stakeholders in this process, in developing the biodiversity agenda, and also in tracking the implementation. In tracking the implementation of this newly negotiated framework. So intergenerational equity, is counted as a priority in this case, because we believe that the question of negotiating for the future of biodiversity conservation is as well the same thing as the question, of negotiating for the future of youth. So in African Palace, in the Yoruba Palace back here in Nigeria, we do say you can't shave the head of a person behind that person. So that person must actually sit down in your presence, give you his head to shave, and that is what youth are saying. That is what African youth are saying, that we want to be stakeholders in this process. We want to fully participate in this negotiation process. We want to fully have a voice in what is contained or in what's to be removed in this post-2020 agenda. And all of this, we believe, will assist us to have a stronger post-2020 global biodiversity framework. And not just that alone, not just in the negotiation process alone, we also want to be involved in the implementation. We actually want to track how governments remain loyal, how governments remain dedicated to the implementation of this post-2020 framework. So that is what the youth engagement priorities counts for. Then the African youth are also saying they're ready to collaborate to halt biodiversity loss, to fully implement the post-2020 framework. They're also saying that a kind of collaboration is important, partnerships is important with relevant stakeholders, with relevant organizations, with youth-led and youth-inclined organizations, that must have buy into the youth priorities, and buy into the youth objectives. And interestingly, when you look at collaboration comprehensively, this gave us the SDG 17. So the SDG 17 is on partnerships. So we actually need to have partnerships to make sure that all of the content of the post-2020 global biodiversity framework is being implemented. And the next question is funding. If you look at most of the biodiversity crisis issues that we're talking about, even at the international agenda, at the United Nations level, at the Convention on Biological Diversity level, we definitely look that African countries, are at the receiving end of this biodiversity crisis. The African countries remain exploited by these developing countries on our biodiversity resources. The African countries, despite our enormous and abundant, biodiversity richness, we still remain, the most exploited, and the victims of all of this biodiversity crisis we're talking about. And what we are saying is that there is a need, for more dedicated funding, to save biodiversity loss, there is a need for more dedicated funding to implement the content of the post-2020 global diversity framework. And then African youth are also including it as a priority, that there is a need to drive more creation of innovative solutions towards saving and rescuing biodiversity crisis, and leaders must empower young people. We are saying young people must be empowered, they must be supported, they must be financially empowered, to implement the appropriate incentives and opportunities that may encourage youth to participate in this implementation strategy of the post-2020 framework. So this is key, and this has been the one of the youth priorities that has remained constant in all of our negotiations processes. And education as well, the youth has also agitating and also demanding the transformative education. If you look at the last Geneva meetings, there was also a debate surrounding what type of education should be included in the target, and GYBN boldly came out and put a transformative education. So a transformative education is important, and we believe that it is when there is a transformative education that we definitely achieve all the milestones and goals enshrined in the post-2020 global diversity framework. Youth inclusive participation. So youth inclusive participation is also important, and youth wants to be involved, they want to be included, not just as observers at national meetings, not just as observers at national coordination meetings, not just as observers at international meetings. We also want to be seen as stakeholders in all of these meetings. We also want to be seen as stakeholders in this negotiation process. We also want to be seen, as just as important dignitaries and delegates, that we also make substantive comments and opinions that we count on the nature of the post-2020 global diversity framework. And these are the youth priorities, and we're also including a rights-based approach, to the implementation of this post-2020 agenda. Next slide. So now what is next? We have actually been able to let our participants understand what Giving Africa is, what we do, and what has been our current agenda, and how we have been able to mobilize and engage youth, especially in the ongoing negotiation process. And we have also been able to let our participants understand what are the actual youth priorities that we're looking forward to be contained in this framework, and which definitely has been the result of our national consultations and what we have received from our regional and national consultations so far. Then with this, then the next question is to actually ask ourselves, how do we develop this process? How do we develop the African youth policy paper, or the African youth position paper, or we can say the African youth declaration document? So this, I think, would be the primary outcome of this summit, and it actually boils down to what next. How then do we drive these outcomes? How then do we realize, do we put our thinkings, our thoughts together to realize this primary outcome of this summit? So I will encourage our participants to attend the Biodiversity Youth Workshop, which is starting at 13:00 hours Central African time today. So it's important that all our participants in this summit, make themselves available, participate at the Biodiversity Youth Workshop at 13:00 hours Central African time today. So this youth workshop will definitely go deeper, into what definitely will be contained in the African Youth Declaration document or the African Youth Policy paper, that will definitely be the outcome of this and will be taken forward to form the global youth position document of Gabon, and which will be taken further in the UNCBD negotiation process. So we also be circulating an online survey form, a Google form, to all our participants to collect what further opinions of youth. What exactly do you feel that is still needed to be included in this framework? What then do you feel that we have left out that should be included in this? So at this online survey, this will be sent to everyone, and I'm very sure we have access to our emails, so there will also be a medium to broadcast this online Google form will also be announced, so that all of your opinions that you feel are important or should be included in this post-2020 global framework will be collected and will be taken to the next level of the negotiation process. Next slide. Yeah, Gabon Africa aims to create awareness towards the role of young Africans to collect youth priorities for the post-2020 global biodiversity framework, just like I've said in my presentations earlier. And definitely this is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process, and the process will continue until we reach Comin, that is the COP15 in Comin. Is slated to hold later this year, and August or September. So the process, we are not just stopping this African Youth Summit. So it is a continuous process. It is a continuous process that we end up at COP15 in Comin, and not just at COP15, because it's also important, as I've said earlier on, the youths, at this point in time, where also the Gabon network is also mobilizing youth to make sure that we are not just stakeholders at the negotiation process. We should also be able to participate, both in the implementation and in tracking implementations, especially after COP15. Countries will now go back to begin to review their national biodiversity, national biodiversity strategic action plans, their MBSAPs. So countries will be reviewing their MBSAPs to form an alignment with the new negotiated post-2020 framework. So youths also must make sure at national level they participate in this process. They are included, they are involved, in the writing of the MBSAPs and implementing of the MBSAPs, because we believe it is in the MBSAPs that our national government implement whatever must have been negotiated at our Comin. So the process is a continuous one. It's not just stopping at this summit. It's not just stopping at Nairobi. It's not just stopping at Comin. It will be a continuous process, and Gabon Africa, we always be on ground to mobilize youth, to encourage youth to keep on participating in the process, and to make sure that we are at the top, of this event of having a healthy planet as that will contain the United Nations agenda for development day this year. So the priorities are fed into the global youth statement, just as I've said earlier on. We also collect our priorities. Currently, some of the priorities have been harmonized, and I think this summit will also open up an opportunity for participants at this summit to also build on the youth priorities that we have collected. And I've said earlier on, this will also be included in the global youth statement that will be taken now further to the negotiation table in Comin, at the COP15. Then the shared Google form will be broadcasted to all our participants, and I hope, I'm sure every one of us will receive it. By the time you receive this Google form, please let us endeavor to fill it, put in what we feel is important, what you think is your own filler of this summit, and what you think is important to be included, and you felt that you have not seen such in this in our own collection so far. So these are the activities that we'll be doing in going forward, and these are the activities that the summit will be building upon in the coming period. Next slide. Yeah, Stop the Same campaign. Like I said earlier on, the Giving Network is actually at this point having a global movement, a global youth movement, a global campaign, which we themed hashtag Stop the Same. And what we are saying is that youth are tired of the same old order. We are tired of hearing the same promises from government. We are tired of hearing this, the same agenda from government. We are tired of hearing the same, hearing the same targets, even from the international community. And what the GIBN is saying, what global youth is saying, at the global level, what we are campaigning for at the global youth movement is that we want a transformative agenda. We want a new change. We want a new change. We are tired of hearing the same thing. We are tired of of failures of past international agendas. Let me also mention that we are currently in the second decade of the UN. The UN decade of restoration. This is the current decade. The first decade, definitely do not achieve much as we expect. It could do by the time we were all setting out in 2010 to set up the agendas for the first decade. Even the first set of biodiversity targets, could not be achieved, substantially to a level that, and it is on all of these failures that we are coming out to mobilize youth across various backgrounds to say enough is enough of the old order. We want a new leaf. We want a transformative agenda. We want a set of new goals. And we're not just saying stop to that. We're also saying we want to actively participate. It is our future, and we want to actually participate in the determination of what becomes our future, in this to come. So UIBN chapters are moving across the world to participate in the youth waves. So the Stop the Same campaign is divided into various youth waves. The first youth wave was the UIBN Europe youth wave. Now we are in the African youth wave, and it will continue on and on like that since the commune is in China, and then I think the UIBN Asian youth wave will be the last. So we are in the UIBN African youth wave. We want to urge all our participants to participate in this Stop the Same campaign. And like I've said earlier on, the process will continue up till Commune. So your youth wave will continue till COP15 in Commune. And the Asian youth wave will be the last, because Commune in China, being an Asian country, the European Asian region, we have the last wave, of this Stop the Same campaign, and we are urging African youth from various backgrounds, African youth participating at this summit, to participate in this Stop the Same campaign. Then, how do you participate? How do you join the Stop the Same campaign across various levels? You can just, I would suggest, Stop the Same campaign. You just create a placard, write your demands, write your demands. Your demands may be any of the youth priorities that we have mentioned, and include hashtag Stop the Same campaign. Take a picture of it, post it on social media, and link it up with any of the African African youth social media networks, and the movement continues. We begin to intensify the movement by continuous action and making sure that all those actions are represented on the social media platforms. So it is only when we do this we begin to understand to be mounting pressures on the government at our various
at various levels. And like I've said earlier on, the Youth Wave is April 24 to 30, and it is on these same days that we urge all our participants to participate in Caribbean national chapters across 20 African countries to participate in these youth waves. In this African Youth Wave, take pictures, post on social media, write up your priorities or your demands, hashtags up the same campaign, and let's keep the wave moving till April 38. So what are the actions you can take is that you can share your idea or solution on how to protect nature. You can share what you love about biodiversity, or when you fell in love with you can just share your own content on what you think about the biodiversity crisis, the solution to biodiversity crisis within your immediate environment, what you love about biodiversity within your immediate environment. Share what you think, share your opinion. You can also organize community sensitization activities, which will also include beach cleanup. We also include beach cleanup awareness programs, community sensitizations with your placards saying "Stop the Same" campaign. You can also plant a tree. These are also many forms of ecosystem restoration agendas or initiatives. You can also make a poster with the campaign hashtags and take a photo, like I've said earlier on. Make a poster, containing your own priorities, your own demands, hashtag Stop the Same. Take a photo and upload it on our social media handles, and you can connect the GIBN Africa social media platforms. You can use our social media toolkits, which I believe has been accessible to all our national chapters. We also urge national chapters to make sure that the Stop the Same campaign is being shared widely across various platforms. If we could have 20 African countries, where GIBN is present, so it means that 20 African countries, sharing within their colleagues, their immediate African neighbors, then we should be able to have times 3 effect of that. So it means we should be able to reach to 60 more countries. Well, so then what that means is that we are really storming the African continent with the African Youth Wave, in these days. So it's important we all participate. I'm also urging our participants to participate in the Stop the Same campaign. Thank you so much. I hope I have been able to to point out all the necessary action points.
Thank you so much, Michael, for the presentation. And I hope our participants have learned a lot. And just to remind you to join in the activities, the Biodiversity Week, which is going to start after the summit. Information will be shared. It's been shared already online. If you check on Giving Africa platforms, as well as Giving International social media platforms.